We're going to go through the one ETF I would buy and hold forever. Pretty much. This is the simplest way as a beginner, or even if you're a seasoned pro, to invest in many different companies at one button click without trying to pick winning stocks and having, I think personally, a foundation wealth thing, build a pot, whatever, that will do a lot of the legwork for you. I think a lot of people get it wrong very early on as a new investor by trying to capture the market the wrong way, i.e. going into, say, SpaceX or something like that. Now, this isn't just a theory, it's kind of built of data. I'll showcase it and why it's the most obvious thing. And when we talk about investing, we talk about money. We talk about putting your money to work. This is the definition of it, pretty much. I'm also planning to move my my two girls, junior ISA over to this fund as well. I've just moved it over to Vanguard, so it kind of makes sense to keep it all together. As always, this is not financial advice, but I'm hoping a lot of what I say is common sense. And if you're new around here, please do slap the old like button, comment if you agree with me or what alternatives you would go for your overall foundation. And also, make sure you subscribe for more. Now, the reason why I'm kind of talking about this, and I've kind of alluded to this before a little bit, but not in this hyper focus, is overcomplexity. I see it every single day. I get emails, I get messages on Facebook, Instagram, I get comments on here. People really do overcomplicate things. Now, it's not a bad thing, I get it. There's no perfect stock, there's no perfect ETF, there's no perfect bond, whatever, right? It's all emotion. That's what the market is. We know that is quite clear. But the truth is, for most people, you get excited. If you're new, you are freaking excited. Oh my God, I'm just signed this light year. Trading 2 on 2, free trade, all these offers. And you go down the rabbit hole, content creators, and then you start following what they do. You buy their stocks, like what you may do with me, with my pie. You may well copy their ETFs or their funds. You try and replicate. And then all of a sudden, you've got 20 stocks, you've got 20 ETFs, you're like, oops, what am I doing? And then you get confused, and then it gets a bit dicey, wrong, oops. Because the boringness of this is wealth isn't built by jumping around. It's like trying to get thin or muscly or whatever in the gym. You're not going to go from personal trainer to personal trainer to personal trainer after 2 weeks because, your waistband hasn't dropped a lit. Wealth is created by one or two things. Buying top quality stuff that you know is good, adding consistently to it over time. So I know that's 3 little things, but you get the idea. And ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the VRAB, obviously, because I think this is underloved. I do. I look at this and I think, why isn't everyone in the world owning this? It just makes sense. I know that's like a big, massive thing, but we'll look at the returns in a minute because, put it this way, yes, I'm on the Vanguard website. I know someone's going to moan because, but you're promoting your program and your screener. Look at how complicated this data is. It's a lot of stuff here. But the fundamentals are quite clear. Yes, it's heavy in America. I know. It's also quite a lot of large market capitalization in terms of what's in the fund. We know that with the Magnificent Seven or whatever. And yes, there's situations where you can look at that and go, oh my God, it's a bit... Let's go to my screener. I've made this super simple. So as you can see, decent amount of assets under management. Yeah, cool. 3,800 holdings. Yeah. It's ISA safe as well, which is hugely important, by the way. But it's got a 95 out of 100. Basically, it is one of the best funds out there because it does track the benchmark pretty tightly. It is, as you can imagine, pretty well diversified with the sectors, which you kind of had a glance over. But in terms of its price performance, it is powerful because it does a lot of the legwork. When you talk about the past, and we will talk about the backtesting in a minute, when we talk about the S&P, the NASDAQ, a lot of the clump of those are in this top 10. So it's obviously growing with it, which is important. It has the least amount of volatility as well, which we will come on to. But the benefits here are, if you like Apple, you've got Apple. If you like NVIDIA, you've got NVIDIA. Microsoft, you've got Microsoft. You get the idea? Obviously, the weights are going to be different depending on what they are. But ultimately, you're going to benefit from holding this because you are in with the world of the technology. Technology is a higher sector in this. Obviously, America is the highest country in this. But that is probably a plus for most people who want growth, technically. This is now becoming a bit of a growth fund, which is pretty mental because 75% over 5 years is pretty good, even though there's an FX effect to that, which is pretty good going. But as you can imagine, you want to know, well, what's in it? Well, actually, you got NVIDIA, as I say, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Broadcom. You get the idea, right? Where I'm going with this. It is pretty deep in America, as I say, but That's kind of the point here. This is the best performing market, the best performing growth market, the best technology at the minute, financial services and industry currently, which is kind of where we are in terms of the market. Yes, people may be going, well, it might be a bit bubblish, it might be a bit high to invest, but proven over time, we'll keep going higher at the minute. But again, when we talk about the more detailed stuff here, the volatility over the last 1 year is 8.1%. That is so good. That is really good. Yeah, there's fees involved, obviously, but that is really good. But the problem that we do have, and I've kind of alluded to it, is overlap. Many beginners, as I say, will go for the obvious. They will go down the content creator route and copy. If you buy the S&P 500, you've got it. If you buy, say, the NASDAQ, you've got it in this as well. If you buy other sort of globalish funds, you've pretty much got it. What about some of the technology funds? Well, you've probably got it in there as well. So you don't want to have, like, say, NVIDIA at 4% weight on one fund, say 5% on another fund, maybe 4% on another fund. You've got quite a decent weight of NVIDIA. You are basically betting on NVIDIA to do well. You might actually own NVIDIA individually. So this is why you always check the overlaps. Because what about if you have a fund analysis like this, where you've got 5 different ETFs, you've got the VRAB, you've got the S&P 500, you've got the NASDAQ, you've got artificial intelligence and also semiconductors. They're quite hot right now and people just want them. I get it. But yes, there's lower holdings, but look at the state of some of these. I mean, some of the weights are unbelievable. Basically, you got a 32% overlap across the board. And average fees, yeah, they're not terrible. Combined, assets under management, but you have a lot of like stuff where you can sort this out massively. So what this tool does, it allows you to kind of see. And my point is here, too many people have too many things, and then you've got massive overweight situation. So you can see held by every single fund is NVIDIA, for example, but you can also see the weight of everything else. You are basically absolutely massively overweight in a lot of little things here. You've got the many, like that's, yeah, 3, 4. You get the idea, right? So my point is just make sure you're not overlapping. Simply that. It's in this tool. There's a link below. Jump in. It's quite cheap, by the way. The discount ends on the 1st. Just saying. Also, if you buy now, I'm going to be doing a massive draw, and 3 people can win a yearly membership. And I may also do something else a bit more random. I might actually be sending you money. But I get it, by the way. I know some people are like, overlap doesn't matter. Yeah, it's great in a bull market when everything goes up. But if it goes down and it's because of 1 or 2 things and your entire portfolio tanks, you're going to have issues. But what is quite mad here, I'm going to go through this. The backtester. Yeah. What's crazy, right, is basically the S&P 500 over the last 5 years, you've not really made as much. If you put in over 5 years, 500 quid, your total value would be this. Pretty good, right? And that is real value with inflation. The VUSA is actually this. It's only a couple hundred quid more. Because you can see, there was a long time here where you could see it was massively overperforming. But ever since COVID and recently, you can see they're pretty level now over an average of 5 years. Obviously, if I change this to like yearly, you can see again, technically being in the all world fund is better than being in the S&P, which I know is bonkers. Obviously, maximum, it's a little bit different because there's been a longer time for this fund. But in terms of the data that we have over the last 5 years with both of them, that's pretty good going. The only discrepancy between that is because the fund that I'm using right now isn't as old as the VUSA, just so you're aware. And this is in my pension. As you know, I'm hoping you know this, but I moved my pension over from Pension B. It wasn't really doing as well there. So I'm doing it all myself. It reduces the fees on my end, and I just want to put it in here, quite simply. I will be, as of next month, putting money in through my company and personally as well. So you will start to see this grow. So there's a bit of a journey and hopefully a bit of a, as you can imagine, a bit of proof. Now, this is the junior ISA for Matilda. Problem is, I don't want it in that fund anymore. Even though I own that fund personally, I want to put it in the All World fund because I think that's the most simplistic way of doing it. It's a junior ISA. Yes, there's maybe a bit of an issue with how those work because at 18, legally, you've got to pass it over to them. Ooh, bloody hell. So yeah, long story short, it'll go in the All World fund and I'll just let it do its thing. Now, I don't want to sit here and pretend that, buying into this fund is just magic and it's going to go forever. It's not, because there's always risks, right? But technically, you got to look at this because, yes, it's a Vanguard fund. It's got a lot of billions in it, many, many different stocks, and the stocks that are in it are actually quite good, mostly. One stock could, if you go all in, ruin your entire portfolio and your entire life. I've seen that before with many, many people, but buying into one fund and using it as a foundation isn't a bad place to be as a beginner or even a seasoned pro. I know a lot of people who've got a lot of wealth just in one fund, just letting it do its thing. This is why it's good for certain things such as accumulation, more importantly, low volatility and stress. You don't want the stress, do you? And I know people will go on the comment section, I get it, right? Why not buy the S&P 500? Well, for me, that's been incredible, but why would you have all USA? Have a little bit different. And that's the thing. Whether you want to be in the S&P 500 or not, you've got it in this. I've already showcased that actually in the last 5 years, you would be better off holding this pretty much give or take, and you've got lower volatility. The problem with the S&P 500 is you've got less stocks and more volatility. You may lose out because you shit yourself. We may look at this kind of movement now as a gift for dividends. Basically, long story short, a lot of the top companies in these funds right now, in my opinion, are growing their dividends. It's very, very small. It's low yield, but technology eventually will get to a point where it pivots. It'll go, well, we don't need to spend all this money on advancements and research. We can pay back the holders. We may well find that these companies here might be the next Coca-Cola of the Warren Buffett world. So yeah, that's why maybe the all-world fund accumulation may well increase its dividend yield over cost time as well, especially when you think in 10, 20, 30 years. But on the screen is Lightyear. I asked a question recently. Should I do something from scratch? What about a weekly investment into the All World Fund and track it? And we'll have a bit of fun with it and see what happens. Could be good. Doesn't change my entire portfolio because I don't have it other than in my pension. My stocks and shares ISA on Trading 212 doesn't have any of those kind of overlaps, so it's actually quite a good obvious one to pick. And more importantly, this is the lowest fees because if I want to put it in weekly, I want to have as little like FX fees on those transactions as possible if I am putting money in all the time, if that makes sense. If you want to try out Lightyear, use my code MATE to get up to £100 in a fractional share or ETF in your general investing account. Use a link in the description below to see terms and conditions or scan the QR code. And please remember that investing involves risks and the value of your investments can go down as well as up. So let me know in the comments what you think. Would you rather buy the S&P, the NASDAQ, a dividend fund, this? For me, I think there's a place for all of them, but it depends on you. But yeah, if you're not yet done so, check out my other videos, watch this, and jump in plus. The discount ends very, very soon.